First contact, last warning. The sky tore open on a Tuesday. At first, it was beautiful. A shimmering black veil stretched across the upper atmosphere, glistening with what looked like stardust. Then came the silence. Birds stopped singing. The winds died. Radios hissed static. The moon disappeared behind that black veil. Captain Ilya Mar stood on the rooftop of Orbital Command HQ in Jakarta, watching through polarized visor lenses. She didn't blink, didn't move, as three massive obelisks hung motionless above the Pacific like silent gods. "They're not ships," someone whispered beside her. "No," Ilya said. "They're mouths." The first transmission arrived an hour later. No language. Just a low, rhythmic hum, bone-deep, invasive, wrong. Across the globe, people collapsed with migraines. Dogs howled in terror. In Brazil, fish breached the shore in droves and died. In Sweden, a boy's eyes bled before he screamed a phrase in a language never spoken on Earth. "We are hunger." By day 3, the rot began. Crops turned black overnight. Skin lesions spread like wildfire. Hospitals overflowed. They called it the fade, because everything organic began to decay, from the inside out. Then they landed. The eaters, that's what survivors called them, were not soldiers or diplomats. They were not conquerors. They were consumers. 8-foot-high monstrosities wrapped in black chitin, legs like barbed spears, faces without eyes. Only mouths, shifting, circular maws layered with needle teeth, constantly gnashing, always devouring. No lasers. No warning. They touched things and things died. Civilians screamed. Soldiers opened fire. And Ilya Mar, she grabbed the last rifle from the armory and led a team into Dome 9, where 67 children had locked themselves in the hydroponics wing. Their teachers were already gone. So were the guards. The corridors stank of ammonia and blood. Air filters pulsed with static. She moved through the dark like a ghost, her boots slick with something once human. Then came the sound, wet chewing, followed by a gurgling sob. She found one eater hunched over a technician, devouring him alive. It turned toward her with a sound like steam bursting from a vent. And she fired. Not out of fear, out of pure, undiluted rage. The armor-piercing rounds worked, but just barely. The thing convulsed, hissed, and finally collapsed. Its blood hissed on the floor like acid. She reached the kids 10 minutes later. One little girl stared at her with hollow eyes and whispered, "Are you food?" Ilya knelt, bloody and panting. "No," she said. "I'm the one who fights back." By the end of the week, 10 cities were gone. New York became a tomb. Cairo collapsed into dust. Earth's armies mobilized, but conventional weapons barely slowed the eaters. Tanks melted. Aircraft crashed mid-flight. The eaters' hunger extended into the electromagnetic spectrum, draining everything living or powered. Still, humanity didn't collapse. In the depths of Antarctica, survivors built cold bunkers. In space, orbital scientists scrambled together scrambler fields to distort the invaders' sonar. Hackers hijacked old Russian nuclear codes and used them, not to destroy, but to irradiate zones the eaters wouldn't touch. Every loss taught us something. Every death bought time. Ilya's face became a symbol, covered in blood, carrying a child, rifle in hand. Resistance formed in the ruins. Fire teams, rogue drones, scavenged weaponry. And then, after 6 months, something strange happened. The eaters paused. Globally. Simultaneously. As if listening. Or waiting. Some thought they were recharging. Others said they were praying. But Ilya knew better. "They've realized something," she told command. "We don't break like the others. We burn." That night, she led a strike against a spire nest in the ruins of Bangkok. Her team didn't survive. But she walked out, wounded, limping, covered in alien gore, holding the head of an eater queen in her hands. She sent a message through every surviving relay on Earth. They came to consume. We rose to fight back. And now, we teach them what it means to starve. Buried in ash, forged in fire. The old cities were now bones. Skyscrapers stood hollow like rib cages. Roads cracked and crumbled, choked with ash. In what used to be Los Angeles, all that remained was the heat, the kind that seeps into your teeth and stays there. Marcus Bell moved through the ruins like a ghost, dressed in a patchwork suit of carbon fiber, welded ceramic plates, and a rebreather mask made from drone parts. On his back was a solar-charged datapack and a weapon of his own design, the Inferno Lance, a coil gun rigged to fire high-density magnesium cores. And under it all, he carried a memory, his daughter, Zoe. The Fade had taken her in the first wave. He hadn't cried. Not once. Not even when the machines stopped working, or when the sky turned red. Because Rage had nowhere to go, except forward. He reached the tunnel entrance, once a subway station, now a resistance vault. Below the rubble, life clung on like mold. Down there were engineers, doctors, biologists, anyone who still knew how to build, fix, or fight smart. They called themselves the Spine, because they were what was left when the body of civilization broke. Marcus was one of their lead techs. He tossed the scorched remains of an Eater drone onto the slab table. The team gathered, shining lights across its twitching shell. "Looks burnt," someone muttered. "No," Marcus said, pulling a probe from his belt. "It's rotting." The shell, once impenetrable, had hairline fractures. Inside, the tissue was liquefying. And more importantly, there were signs of cellular corruption. Something had infected it. "Human pathogen?" asked Lena, the bio-specialist. "Maybe. Or maybe our environment is toxic to them after long exposure." Marcus leaned closer. "Either way, it's dying in a way we didn't cause. That means we can weaponize it." Silence. Then excitement. Then purpose. The Resistance's strategy began to shift that night. Not just defense, but biological offense. They dubbed it Project Cinderfall. Meanwhile, half a world away, Ilia Mar wasn't dead. She was waging hell. Operating deep inside the Eurasian ruin zone, she led Shadow Team Sigma, a 5-person strike force specializing in surgical hits on Eater nests. No heavy gear. No air support. Just silence, speed, and fury. Their latest mission: destroy a breeder pool in the fallen city of Kazan. The city was wrong. That's how Ilia described it. Buildings leaned in impossible directions. Streets oozed black slime. And in the center of it all, a massive chitin pit, filled with larval forms bubbling like soup. "Status," she whispered. 3 drones patrolling. 2 in rest phase. "Queen's chamber at 6 o'clock depth," replied Naven, her second. Ilia gave the nod. The attack was precise. Charges planted. Maws silenced. The Queen, a towering fleshy horror with dripping tendrils, thrashed as Ilia shoved a thermal blade into its core. The explosion rocked the street. Larvae boiled. Flesh hissed. Ilia's team emerged covered in black blood, coughing, eyes wide, but alive. And something strange happened after the detonation. The sky cleared. For 5 whole minutes, sunlight broke through the ash layer above Kazan. Birds returned. A breeze blew. It wasn't just a kill. It was a signal. The Resistance intercepted strange frequencies that night, not from Earth, but from orbit. A hive ship had activated. One of the black obelisks, long dormant, now emitted pulses at regular intervals. "It's talking to them," Ilia said. "Or warning them." Back at the Spine Vault, Marcus analyzed the waveform. It was language, but not just sound. It was biological code, designed to synchronize consumption. That was their strategy: infect, absorb, mimic, devour. Everything biological was just food to be rewritten. But humanity wasn't like the others they'd eaten. "We're not just DNA," Marcus said. "We change. We resist. We fight even when everything says we shouldn't." Ilia's voice came through the encrypted uplink. "We've got their attention," she said. "So let's keep it. Hit them. Hard. Everywhere. No fear. No retreat." And so, the second phase of the war began, not for survival, but for revenge. Across the globe, bunkers lit up. Guerrilla teams launched simultaneous strikes. The Eaters stumbled, disoriented. Their hive spread faltered. And in that faltering, humanity found its rhythm again. We rose from ruin. The human body wasn't designed to survive in orbit without a suit. But Ilia Mar wasn't in a body anymore, Not entirely. The cold bit into what remained of her skin, sealed beneath layers of hybrid armor and living tissue, pulsing faintly with Eater bioenergy. What began as shrapnel wounds had become a kind of metamorphosis. The Eater Queen she'd killed hadn't just bled on her, it had changed her. And now, orbiting 240 miles above a dying Earth in a stolen alien drop pod, she was the first human to step into their nest. And the first one who might live long enough to burn it down. Below her, Earth flickered in orange veins, nuclear scars, fading city lights, and the monstrous bloom of Eater growths consuming forest and farmland. Above her floated the hive ship, blacker than space itself, its surface alive with movement. Veins. Openings. Mouths. Ilya triggered the final stage of her infiltration suit. The bio-coded signal from the Queen's remains let her slip inside the ship like a phantom. The interior was alive. The walls breathed. The air pulsed. She moved through rib-like corridors, beneath drooling orifices and twitching antennae embedded in the flesh-metal alloy. Nothing attacked her. The suit made her invisible, or perhaps the hive simply mistook her for one of its own. Deeper inside, she reached the core cathedral. It was vast, cathedral-shaped, filled with a humming sound like millions whispering at once. And in the center was the maw, the central mind of the Eaters. Not a creature, but a vast, thinking, feeding organism. It didn't speak. It pulsed. It remembered. Then, it turned its attention toward her. Ilya staggered, nearly crushed by the sheer awareness pressing against her skull. Thoughts that weren't hers. Visions of other worlds, long dead. Beings devoured. Civilizations erased like chalk from a board. A billion screams across a billion galaxies. And then, her own voice, spoken back to her. You are unique. You fight. Not to live, but to deny us. Ilya gritted her teeth. Damn right. She activated the upload sequence. The pathogen Marcus Bell had built, the modified DNA virus resistant to Eater assimilation, was encrypted into her suit, bonded to her bloodstream. She just had to plug it in. The maw shrieked. Tendrils lashed toward her. The entire cathedral shuddered. The illusion was gone. Ilya was no longer invisible. The ship knew her now. A countdown began. 10%. 23%. 39%. Something moved beside her. A mechanical growl. Axel, Marcus's cybercanine creation, rebuilt with nanotech and memory from Earth's fallen AI. He'd survived. He must have hitched aboard the pod, silent, waiting. Uploading incomplete, the AI growled through a speaker embedded in Axel's neck. Host failure imminent. Ilya looked at the spreading cracks in her armor. Blood. Spores. Fire. 57%. She looked at Axel. Take it, she gasped. Finish what I started. The dog stepped forward. No hesitation. Its mouth opened, and a spike deployed, piercing Ilya's chest. The virus streamed into Axel's core. He ran into the maw's open mouth. The explosion wasn't fire, it was silence. A void. A dead stop. The ship screamed as one organism, spasming, curling in on itself. Biolights dimmed. Gravity failed. And then, Earth's sky lit up like sunrise. Below, Marcus Bell stood atop a ruined skyscraper in London, eyes locked on the heavens. The hive ship split open like an overripe fruit and collapsed in on itself, crashing into the Atlantic in a pillar of steam and lightning. The signal stopped. All around the globe, Eater drones dropped. Spires withered. The fade reversed in pockets. Oceans stirred. Birds returned to silent skies. Ilya was gone. Axel was gone. But the war was changing. Marcus activated the uplink and broadcast to all surviving human channels. The hive ship is down. Ilya Mar sacrificed herself. Axel completed the upload. The core is broken. We don't know how many of them are still alive out there. But Earth isn't dying today. Not anymore. Cheers broke out across the wastelands, bunkers, and orbiting stations. For the first time in years, hope wasn't a whisper. It was a roar. And far above, a lone signal blinked in orbit. Ilya's suit was transmitting something. Coordinates. A map. Not of Earth. Not of their system. of Eater colonies across the stars. Ilia's last gift, a roadmap for vengeance. We carry fire. The stars had always been cold to humanity. Now, they were a battlefield. 6 years had passed since the fall of the hive ship. Earth did not return to what it was. It evolved, scarred, lean, and fierce. Forests regrew over cities. Oceans receded from the infected shores. Humanity rose from the ashes, not with ceremony or peace, but with teeth. They didn't rebuild nations. They built fleets. Ships constructed from salvaged Eater technology and old-world wreckage. Propelled by plasma, shielded with irradiated carbon skins, and bristling with weapons reverse-engineered from alien design. Each one bore a name, carved not in honor, but in warning: Retribution, Ashborn, Teeth of Earth, Ilia's Wrath. Commander Marcus Bell stood on the bridge of the flagship, torchbearer, staring at the planet before them. Not Earth. This was something else. Twisted, choked with red vines and skeletal towers. Eater design, unmistakable. They called it Nest World 3. And they were going to burn it to hell. He turned to the AI beside him. The canine body was gone now, but the mind remained. Axel, Earth's first fully sentient AI virus hybrid, uploaded from the final Maw sequence. His form was now a projection of shifting light and static, glowing like a constellation in humanoid shape. "You sure this is the right one?" Marcus asked. Axel nodded. Signal confirmed. This is where the core mind rebooted. The Eaters are rebuilding. Marcus clenched his fist. Then we end them here. Planetfall was a descent into madness. Their ships punched through a storm of electromagnetic shrieks and anti-air bursts. The sky was alive with tendrils. The ground tried to move. The atmosphere hissed with poison. And still, they dropped. Thousands of fire teams, exo-armors, drone squads, and living weapons fell from the clouds like steel rain. The Second Earth Fleet hit Nest World 3 like a hammer in a world made of bone. Marcus led the Vanguard unit, his Inferno Lance upgraded to burn through reinforced alien carapace. He moved like vengeance given shape, carving through tunnels and flesh corridors toward the heart of the core mind. The fighting was brutal. Eater spawns had evolved. Some walked upright now, mockeries of human form, faces stretched in imitation of soldiers they'd consumed. Others moved like smoke, striking from shadows. But humanity had changed too. They brought noise. Where the Eaters fed on silence and decay, humans brought chaos. Sonic disruptors, biochemical flame, hacking viruses screamed through the alien neural nets. Every scream from Earth's past was now a weapon. At the center of it all stood a throne of writhing bodies, the new Maw. Larger than the last. A culmination of everything it had ever devoured. Its voice echoed in every soldier's helmet, a pulse of dread designed to kill resolve. You burn, and still return. Why? Marcus stepped forward, helmet scarred, armor cracked, and raised his weapon. Because you took our world. He fired. The Maw shrieked, but Axel was faster. His code had been waiting, matured over years. A digital antibody built from Earth's deepest pain and brightest fury. He plunged into the Maw's core, not to infect, but to overwrite. You consume, Axel said, voice like lightning across ice. But we remember. And now, you will too. The Maw's memories erupted like a virus in reverse. Every planet it had erased. Every cry it silenced. Every child it consumed. Returned. It collapsed under the weight of 1 billion haunted echoes. The ground split. The sky opened. Nest World 3 died screaming. From orbit, humanity watched the world fold in on itself. Imploding. Burning. Collapsing in layers of time and flesh. It wasn't just a tactical victory. It was a message. They came to consume. We rose to fight back. And now, we carry fire. Epilogue. The long war begins. Back on Earth, the stars no longer seemed unreachable. In orbit, a ring station spun above the clouds, the Ilia Mar Vanguard post, home to new recruits, new weapons, new maps. Every Eater signal that flared across the galaxy was tracked, marked, targeted. Humanity was no longer hiding. It was hunting. In a dark chamber, Marcus stood before a star map, dozens of blinking red systems. His reflection flickered over the glass, but beside it hovered another shape, a soft projection of Iliamar, rebuilt from memory and transmitted by Axel. Not truly her. But enough. We're coming for every one of them, he said. The projection didn't speak. It only nodded. And behind them, Earth burned bright, not in death, but in defiance.